Episode 764, What You Should Do as a Teacher When You're Upset. Today's SEL Spotlight is focusing on you as the teacher. I hope you'll take a listen. Today's sponsor is Nalini Kids. At the end of the show, I'll share how to access their free SEL word workouts to bring movement and reflection to your classroom. These word workouts are awesome, so stay tuned at the end of the show.
Welcome to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, hosted by author, educator, speaker, and mom, the Cool Cat Teacher, Vicki Davis.
Today we're talking with Michelle Blanchet, co-author of the Startup Teacher Playbook. Turn your ideas into actions, personalize professional development, and create innovative learning experiences for you and your students. Now today we're going to talk about an important topic. Teachers, are you upset? How do you figure out what's wrong? So, Michelle, tell us about a chart you have in your book and what it can do for both administrators and teachers as we're struggling with morale issues. And that's definitely a problem for a lot of teachers right now because we're so tired.
Yeah, so for our book, what we noticed is we wanted to create a space with professional learning so teachers could problem solve and collaborate. As we all know, we have a lot going on, and it's great to be able to use PD time to do something for your students to push things forward, if you will. So one thing we noticed as we run workshops or we've gone into schools is what is it that makes some teachers fired up and ready to go? And what is it that's holding other teachers back? And we started kind of looking and noticing, what is it about kind of people's attitude that encouraged them or set them off or kind of made them hesitant? And so we came up with this list of 5 traits that we notice when they get nurtured, help teachers be able to just hit the ground running. And when they get neglected, they cause that hesitancy or that, that inability to kind of do something with those ideas. So the 5 traits are heart, optimism, curiosity, confidence, and vulnerability. And what we did is kind of notice what happens, whether it's we do it to ourselves or whether it's because of the culture we're in. So it's something that maybe leadership might need to look at that prevents us from doing things. So for instance, with heart is it's when you believe in what you're doing, right? Like, so when you're doing it for the right reasons, that's your heart telling you like, oh, I want to make a difference for the kids. And when you feel like you're making a difference for the kids, you want to keep going. So when heart is being nurtured, you have your joy and your purpose. Your students are usually at the center because that's usually why most teachers went into teaching, right? They want to make the difference. The kids mean everything. When heart kind of gets ignored or neglected, you sometimes are doing things you don't believe in, and it can cause that kind of negativity. You get caught up in activities that really don't matter to you, or you don't think really add a lot of value. So your purpose isn't being met, and therefore your students' needs aren't being met. And this can cause you to stop caring. And so we kind of went through these 5 different traits because we noticed if administration or leadership want certain projects to move forward, are you nurturing these traits in teachers? And then for teachers, if there's certain things you want to be doing, are you really doing what you want to be doing? And do you still believe in yourself? And this kind of created a quick self checklist, if you will, so that, you can see where you're at and maybe some things you might need to work on. So for instance, curiosity, do you need to get your own sense of learning back? Are these some things like where you're not making time for yourself? Vulnerability is another one. Are you doing things that you believe in? Or are you kind of doing it because you feel like everyone's pushing you to do that, And that way it's kind of a way to self-check and make sure you're doing what you think is right.
Okay, so we've talked about heart and we talked about curiosity. We talked about vulnerability. So what about optimism? What happens when your attitude is flagging?
For us, optimism is really still believing that you matter, and your actions matter and that you can make a difference. So when this is nurtured, you can handle adversity. Just because there's a roadblock, you're going to keep pushing because you know that your actions are going to make a difference. When this gets ignored and you don't believe your actions matter or that change is possible, you become stagnant. And so that's what we focus on with optimism.
Okay. And then how about confidence?
So confidence. Do you still believe in your voice? So when you lose your confidence, you usually don't push yourself. You don't speak your mind. You kind of have that thing like, oh, why should I be the one doing it? Instead of why me, it's like, am I really the right person? You doubt yourself. And so this is the reason confidence is so important, because we've been in many workshops where we'll have that teacher. It's like, yeah, they have this great idea, right? And you're like, yeah, go for it. And it's like, no, I don't know if I'm the one. Or they'll be scared to, talk to an administrator, to a colleague about it. And it's like, no, we need you. And that's why, it's so important that we nurture confidence in ourselves and believe in our abilities.
So what do you do? Like, for example, one of them, you said you need to make time to do such and such. Well, there's a lot of demands on teachers right now. And if you told me to make time for something, the only way I could do that is a lot of mornings I'll go in at 6 a.m., 6:30, here late, is stay another hour. But that's not good either, is it? I mean, there's never time to say, I got to go home.
No, so time is such a huge issue. And we don't cover this too much in the book, but we talk about this a lot, because it comes up all the time. Time is the number one barrier for teachers. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of prioritize your time. So for instance, one thing is, what are your guiding principles? So when you look through this, what are those initiatives that don't add value to you or to your students? And how can you not take those as seriously? That's the way to save time.
You know how it is. I mean, if it's the initiative du jour of the month, then you kind of feel like you're supposed to,
But how seriously do you need to take it, right? And so those are some of the things that, where we've noticed you can save time, because time's one of those loaded things. So yeah, you have the things that are kind of mandated that you got to do. Students, there's always something new that's going on that sucks out 30 minutes of your day that you didn't see coming, parent emails, and so on and so forth. So time is one of those loaded issues that you can just get on your own, because there's so many components to it, right? There's what's being mandated on you, like what's school culture like, and how is leadership respecting your time? And then there's also what we can do to respect our own time, right? So like just simple things and when we talk about managing kind of priorities, how often are we on social media? Do you limit, how often you check your email? Are you putting together tasks so it's more feasible for you? Like I always love doing projects, for instance, in class, where in order to give feedback, it would be like work time. But at the same time, the kids were getting stuff done. I was going group to group and giving feedback. And for me, that always saved way more time than, writing tons of comments at home. So there's always ways to manage time. But I feel like that's a whole nother beast.
Oh, yeah. So what do you say to the teacher who driving home from work today or yesterday was writing her resignation letter in her head? What do you say to that teacher to figure out where they are and how to move forward?
So that's the thing. You go to your heart. Do you still believe in what you're doing, right? Like, do you still believe that you're making the difference? And I think that's why we have a lot of teachers resigning right now, because a lot of teachers went in to make an impact for kids. So I think it's reflecting and giving themselves a chance to reflect, like, do I still like the job? Am I in the right school? And then if I am in the right school, I still believe in what I'm doing, kind of thing. What do I need to do to rejuvenate myself so I feel good? And, sometimes putting ourselves on the to-do list is just a must, because when we were just talking about time, like productivity guilt's a big thing, right? Like we always feel as teachers, as parents often, that we should be doing more. So just giving our a chance to reflect and feeling satisfied and putting ourselves on that to-do list. So we take time to nurture our needs. So, that oxygen tank cliche, so that we can keep going.
Put ourselves on our to-do list. That can be a challenge, but it is necessary for all of us. And I hope that we'll all go back and consider heart and curiosity and vulnerability, optimism and confidence. And we can also pick up the Startup Teacher Playbook and learn more about this topic and how we can figure out what's going on so we can put words to explain what we're going through and work with our administration to improve things so that we can stay in teaching. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great to be on here.
Today's sponsor is Nalini Kids, creator of wordworkouts.org, a fantastic free SEL resource that will bring reflection and movement to your classroom. At wordworkouts.org, you can select a word as the focus to help students get in the right mindset for a day of learning while making connections between academics and daily life. Wordworkouts.org is great for morning meetings, brain breaks, class transitions, or advisory, and is a wonderful relationship building tool for your classroom community. If you care about social emotional learning, I recommend that you check out today's sponsor, Nalini Kids, and their wordworkouts.org website today. That is wordworkouts.org. A fantastic free SEL tool that you'll be talking about. Word Workouts from Nalini Kids.
If you enjoyed today's 10-Minute Teacher podcast, why not subscribe on iTunes? You can also catch up with Vicki on Twitter at CoolCatTeacher or level up and learn with her blogs and free resources at CoolCatTeacher.com. Thanks for listening.